In the quaint village of Ashwood, nestled in the heart of the Whispering Woods, lived a young writer named Imrise. He was a man consumed by words, with a passion for storytelling that rivaled the ancient tales of old. His days were filled with scribbling notes, poring over dusty tomes, and practicing his craft. Yet, despite his dedication, Imrise felt a sense of emptiness within. It wasn't until he received an antique inkwell from his great-uncle, a renowned writer in his own right, that his life took a magical turn. The inkwell, adorned with intricate patterns and symbols, seemed to hum with an otherworldly energy. As Imrise dipped his pen into the well's contents, he noticed that the ink flowed not just smoothly, but also possessed an unusual potency. With each stroke of his quill, words poured onto the page like a river, breaking free from its banks. It was then that Imrise began to hear whispers on the wind. At first, they were faint, almost imperceptible murmurs, but as he listened more intently, the voices grew clearer and louder. The stories whispered by the wind were of far-off lands, mythical creatures, and forgotten histories. They spoke of the stars aligning in peculiar patterns, and of ancient civilizations that had left behind artifacts of unparalleled beauty. As Imrise transcribed these whispers onto paper, he found himself lost in a world beyond his wildest imagination. His stories began to weave together, forming a tapestry of wonder and enchantment. Characters from his tales stepped off the page and into the village, where they mingled with the villagers as if they had always been there. People would gather round Imrise's fireside, mesmerized by the way he brought their imaginations to life. His stories told of brave knights slaying dragons in the heart of the Whispering Woods, of mermaids singing siren songs along the riverbanks, and of a young princess discovering her own hidden magic within the forest's depths. The villagers, enchanted by Imrise's tales, began to see their world through fresh eyes. They noticed the ancient trees standing watch over the village, their branches etched against the sky like wispy fingers. The wind whispers secrets in the leaves, it seemed, and those who listened closely could hear the language of the forest itself. As word of Imrise's magical abilities spread, scholars and collectors from far and wide came to Ashwood, seeking to learn from him. He became a weaver of tales, drawing inspiration from the world around him, and his inkwell remained a vessel for the whispers on the wind. Years passed, and Imrise grew into a master storyteller, with an inkwell that never seemed to run dry. His stories brought solace to those who had lost loved ones, sparked joy in children's hearts, and even helped to heal old wounds between the village's factions. The villagers came to see him not just as a writer, but as a guardian of their collective memory. One stormy night, when the winds howled louder than ever before, Imrise sat by his fireside, listening intently to the whispers in his inkwell. The wind spoke of ancient wars, lost knowledge, and forgotten heroes. As he transcribed these whispers, he felt an energy unlike any he had experienced before. The words poured onto the page like a storm breaking over the village. Characters leapt from the pages into the world beyond, their stories interwoven with Imrise's own. The villagers, too, felt the power of the wind, as if it carried a message meant specifically for them. When the storm subsided, and the sun rose anew, Imrise looked around at the village he had grown to love. His inkwell, once just a tool for his craft, now seemed like an extension of himself, a channel for the stories that flowed through him. As the villagers gathered round, they heard not the wind's whispers, but their own hearts beating in unison. The writer who had once felt empty had become a vessel for the collective story of Ashwood. In that moment, Imrise knew he had found his true purpose, to weave tales that would transcend time and touch the very soul of those who listened. The villagers cheered, their voices like music as they celebrated the arrival of a new era in their lives. The writer's inkwell, now filled with the stories of a lifetime, seemed to hum once more, reminding Imrise that the wind whispered secrets only to those willing to listen. As he looked into the well, Imrise saw his great-uncle standing beside him, smiling down on the village he had grown to love. He knew then that this was not just about stories or inkwells, but about the power of listening and sharing tales. The wind whispers secrets in the leaves, it seemed, and those who listened closely could hear their own story echoing back. Years went by, and Imrise continued to write, his inkwell never emptying as long as the winds kept whispering their secrets. In the quiet moments, when no one was around, he would listen to the stories within, knowing that they held a truth beyond words, that even in silence, there lies an endless tapestry of whispers waiting to be transcribed.